Good evening. Welcome to the Thursday, March 14th, 2024 regular school board meeting of the Acton Agua Dulce Board of Trustees. Can I have roll call, please?
De Sousa, present.
Brianna Texoni here.
Master.
Fallsgraf here. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as proposed? Before we take that motion, do you have anything that needs to be changed on the agenda?
No changes for March 14th.
Could I have a motion, please?
I'll motion.
Second. Call the question.
Cameron, I.
De Sousa.
Brianna Texoni, I.
Master.
Fallsgraf, aye. We will now be talking about the item A, oath of office for our new board member. I'm the one who does this. Here. You can too. There you go. Yeah. Part about medical reservation, I lost it. Cool.
Good evening, Mr. Mays.
Good evening.
So we'll be doing the oath of office this evening, March 14th, 2024. So just repeat after me. I, William Mays,
I, William Mays,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will to support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith
that I'll bear true faith
and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and I will well and faithfully
and I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties upon
discharge the duties upon
which I am about to enter.
which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Yes, you can go now.
Let him take a picture with his family with the seals in the background, and then we'll all jump in there. Is that okay? Sorry. Royce, go on.
Shall I read the civility statement?
Yeah. Hey, Royce, do you want that to your mom? So you're taking the photo. Oh my God, you guys are just perfect. Okay, ready? 1, 2. Oh, that's video. That's cute.
No.
Two. Okay. Awesome.
Thank you, guys. All right, back to business. Public participation. Do we have anybody that wants to speak to the board at this time?
Not at this time, thank you.
Thank you. We will now work to adjourn to closed session where we may discuss one or more of the following: conference with labor negotiators, public employee discussion, discipline, dismissal, release, conference with legal counsel, and or student matters. Do I have a motion to adjourn to closed session? Mr. Mays, would you do that, please?
Motion.
I motion to adjourn to closed session.
And I'll second that. Call the question.
Cameron, I.
Mays, I.
Jesus, aye.
Brianna Texoni, I.
Falls graph I. Call for you. Thank you. Welcome to the open session of the March 14th meeting of the Acton Agua Dulce Unified School District Board of Trustees. We are reconvening the regular meeting at 7:30 PM. It is our honor to be blessed with Mr. Rowland here this evening, who will start us off with the flag salute.
Right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will read the civility statement. When conducting the district's business, we will strive to communicate clearly and concisely with respect of time for the time of others, listen objectively, carefully considering the opinions of others, understanding the counterproductive effects of disruptive, demeaning, and intimidating behaviors, understand and respect district policies and procedures, and maintain a respect for the rich history of the district and the efforts of others who have served in the past. Before we move along, I'd like to let everyone know that we are welcoming our newest board member, Mr. William Mays, who was sworn in before closed session this evening. Welcome aboard and thank you for your service to this district, Mr. Mays. It's time for a report of action taken in closed session. There was no action taken in closed session this evening, so there's nothing to report. Moving on to item 7, public comments, recognition, and reports. Are there any public comments at this time?
No public comment cards.
Thank you. Could you please, Superintendent, take over about the recognition part now?
Of course, thank you, President Falsgraf. One of my favorite parts of the evening. Good evening, students, parents, community members. For tonight's spotlight recognition, we will be recognizing our spelling bee participants and champions, as you're all champions. The district spelling bee was held on February 1st for students in grades 4 through 6. We are proud to announce the winners of the spelling bee. And for that, I'm going to be calling up Mr. Rowland. He'll be doing the honors of distributing the certificates to our students. So while he heads to the podium, we'd like to thank the one and only Mr. Larry Rowland, our spelling bee coordinator, who created a wonderful evening for the competition and an atmosphere of support and acknowledgement for all of our students who participated. So hats off to you, Mr. Rowland. We do have a slideshow, I believe, that Mrs. Van Ornum has put together. So we'd love to see that before we call up our wonderful students.
Dr. Sahakian and distinguished school board members, thank you for celebrating an academic risk-taking opportunity for our students at High Desert School. Last year, we had very small participation, so it was kind of sad that so many students were apprehensive about getting up on stage and spelling words. But this year, we had close to 35 students from 4th, 5th, 6th grade. And they did an awesome job of conquering fears, overcoming challenges, and just showing great sportsmanship, whether they won or lost, and supporting one another. And we are so honored that not only did they participate in the spelling bee, but they came out tonight on a school night to stand before you today. So I think it would be fun for you to spell all their names, but I don't think we have time for all that. So the students who came, I would like you to stand, come and get your certificate, and let me present you proudly to our most distinguished members of our school district. First, we have Ms. Bentley Arndt. Where would you like them to stand?
Right up here.
Right up there. Miss Olivia Bacon. Miss Emily Bailey. Miss Ella Bornero, Mr. Christopher Burns, Miss Mia Kaplinger, Miss Hartley Cochran, Mr. Maximus Davis, Mr. Drew Fallgater. All of these students not here are probably at home studying for tomorrow's spelling test. Mr. Benjamin Fatul, Miss Kylie Finn, oh, is that Zoom? Oh, okay. Hi, Kylie. Miss Mackenzie Goodman, Miss Haley Guerrero, Miss Jasmine Hernandez, Mr. Noah Haneke, Miss Bethany Keeter, Miss Emily Moya, Mr. Ernesto Moya Escamilla, Miss Valerie Narciso, Miss Cassidy Olson, Miss Cameron Phillips Towery, Miss Patricia Rios, Miss Micah Rivas, Miss Abigail Seymour, and our three top place winners are as follows. In third place, Mr. Holden White Eagle. In second place, battling it to the very end, these two, but coming in just slight behind the first place winner is Mr. Andranik Hunanian. And this year's legendary spelling bee champion, the one, the only Miss Lily Martin. Congratulations. Just know, students, we're so proud of you. Lily's going to come back and serve as a judge next year, and I hope all the rest of you will be willing to compete again. So thank you so much. Miss, I'm so sorry to take over for you.
The timing worked out perfect because you did a better job than I would have, but this one needs to get acknowledged too. So I'll steal the spotlight for a minute. Mr. Rowland used to run the spelling bee at Acton School. I don't even know how many years, a long time ago. And then I ran it for a while at High Desert, and then Miss Trussell ran it for a year. And then Mr. Rowland took it back over last year. So this is his second year doing it at High Desert. And with his wealth of expertise, we are so grateful for the enthusiasm, all the extra preparation, and just the amazing way that he makes every single kid feel special, even if they get out. So we want to congratulate Mr. Larry Rowland for being our spell master. So thank you so much, students, and thank you, Mr. Rowland.
Ms. Van Orn, Mr. Rowland, would you come up here and take a photo with your students? They'll want to remember people that they actually know. Guys, bunch up so you can all get in a picture with your staff and teachers.
I was taking it for her. I'm taking it for her. You said it for all.
Everybody good? Okay, let's cycle with board member comments, starting with our student rep.
Congratulations, everyone who even was brave enough to get up on that stage and compete. I would have never done that, and I didn't do that. So I am thoroughly impressed with all of you. Congratulations, this is a huge win. You should be putting this everywhere on social media, on your refrigerators, your little certificate. Brag about everyone that I competed in the spelling bee, because that's fantastic. Thank you.
Yes, congratulations to you all. That is a big task and we're all very proud of it.
Again, congratulations to all the spelling bee participants. That's an extraordinary accomplishment, especially at your young age. And coming from me, a very bad speller, I salute you. And I think that's a great and outstanding start. So congratulations.
Like Mr. De Jesus, I am a terrible speller. Siri, I ask her everything and I Google how do you spell like the most mundane words. So I can't even comprehend how your brain can just memorize and know the things that you know. I'm in awe of every single one of you. I'm also in awe of your stick-with-itness, what your bravery, thank you. Lester always finishes my sentence for me. So of your bravery and your ability to get up in front of people and put yourself out there to get up and in front of people and do what you did. So good job and congratulations to the parents too. You're raising amazing children. So thank you for having them here. Thank you for all of the practice that it took in the spelling bee, and way to go, good job, and keep this up. And don't forget to put this accomplishment on some applications in the future. If you're applying for a job at 16, this can go on there. So good job, fantastic work.
Yeah, congratulations, everyone. Competing like that, being willing to put yourself out there is it's a big deal. So keep it up, keep doing it. Well done to those that made it to the top. Mr. Rowland, thank you for doing this. It's always nice to see everything that you're doing for our schools. And Ms. Van Arnhem, thank you for creating this stage to celebrate what you're doing. More amazing stuff from High Desert.
Okay, guys, I'm the old man up here. I sit across the table from people that want to come to work for the city I work for. And I look at some applications and it saddens me because I see things that aren't spelled correctly or communication problems. And then I meet the person to interview them and they're a stellar individual. And one of the worst things is not to be able to read or spell to the point where it chronically underemploys you and it doesn't represent you. So your next task, if you all competed in this, is with dignity, get with the kid that's having a problem spelling, find them, help them, and have them practice words with you. Make this into a community opportunity. You too, Mr. Rowland, you're always in this room and you represent the brand of our district. You represent the goals of where we want to go, but you've always been going there long before any of this come along. So I appreciate you so much. You have kids in my family that you made a difference in, and who in this town hasn't Mr. Rowland touched in one way or another. Thank you, sir. Principal Van Ornum, your place is stellar. The one thing I like about it, so much of the service up here in other districts, you're hearing noise about all kinds of problems. This is the kind of news I like. This is what makes my job up here. It makes me happy, guys. So y'all did a great job. You little ones, you need to do this too. Move this up into the high school. Help people who cannot talk, spell right. It will make a huge difference in their life. Thank you all. Anything else? See, it wasn't that bad, right, guys? Thank you for lying, thank you. Moving on. Time for, cupcakes. Stop the show. Let's take, I move for a 5-minute recess.
I'll second.
You call the question.
Cameron, I.
Mayor's eye.
This is,
Brianna Texoni, I.
That's good.
Balls draft, aye. Meeting called back to order at 7:51. Time for tab 8, correspondence, proposals, and reports. Item A, Ada rep. Nothing. Thank you, Ada, for your service to the district. B, CSEA representative. Nothing. Thank you, CSEA employees, for your service to the district. Aislinn, can you give us your report as a student representative to the board?
Yes, sorry, I'm still trying to recuperate from my cupcake. Anyways. So I'll start with the elementary schools, of course. So this recently, I'm gonna say recently, last week, week before this one, to bring over my words, was Read Across America Week at the elementary school. So they had a spirit week all packed with fun and theme days. So they had Animal Print Monday from the book If I Ran a Zoo, Fun Hat Day for Cat in the Hat, Wacky Wednesday for whatever they wanted, Wear Orange Day for the Lorax, and Where Would You Want to Be as an Adult for all the places you'll go. It's really popular, you know, everyone has a fun time dressing up for those days. This last Wednesday was National Barbie and Ken Day. So the school was covered in pink, staff and students all dressed up as Barbie or Ken. And it wasn't, oh, hi there, it was, oh, hi, Barbie, you know. During Read Across America Week, they had a mobile dairy classroom assembly, which brought agricultural to the school. So they actually had a cow with them, which I think is fantastic. And they all got out into the parking lot, and they learned about the anatomy of cows, how milk goes from the cow to your table, and learned the importance of healthy eating and keeping yourself physically fit. The character word of the month at Meadowlark is patience. And the first grade performed at Aesop's Fable play, and they all did a fantastic job. Round of applause for them. And they would like to just thank ASMO for supporting that. Then there is an awards assembly I encourage everyone to attend to on March 29th. And tomorrow, make sure you wear green because it's St. Patrick's Day. You will get pinched. For High Desert, they would like to send a big thank you to the food service staff. Every day they arrive with a smile, work hard to make the food for all the students, and ensure that they're making connections with the students as they pick up their food. Thank you for feeding our students and filling their hearts. Sorry. 8th grade students mentored the 5th and 6th graders about Medal of Honor lessons. It's really important for students to learn from other students, so that was fantastic. During the Medal of Honor Mentor Day, students learned what it means to be a hero and wrote thank you cards to the heroes in their lives. Dance Force had their competition. Let's see. For 4th and 5th grade, Foxtrot 3rd place was Micah and Camila. For the East Coast Wing, 5th place was Micah and Camila, and 6th place we got Emma and Val. For the Merengue, we got 5th place Emma and Val. So fantastic job to all those younger dancers. And for 6th, 7th, and 8th, we had the most improved leads as Seth and Kylie. The finals for the Cha-Cha was Lexi and Atusa. Sorry if I butcher these names. Got 7th, and Aubrey and Riley got 1st. For the waltz, Ezra and Riley got 7th. Maya and Malette. I'm so bad at these names, guys. Maya, thank you, got 4th. Aubrey and Esther got 2nd. I don't even know what this type of dance is. Bacha. Aubrey and Esther got 7th, and then Lexi and Aaliyah got 2nd. For ECS, East Coast Swing. Yep. Maya got 7th, Aubrey and Atusa got 3rd, Lexi and Riley got 1st. For the Jack and Jill Bacha, I can't read, guys. Riley got 8th, Atusa got 5th, Aubrey got 3rd, and Lexi got 2nd. So that's a fantastic job to all of our dancers, getting out more of the artistic side of things instead of just academics. Both are equally as important. On March 7th, they had a STEAM night. So Hawks and their families participated in science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics with presenters doing activities including rocket launching, egg drops, foil boat constructions, Pringles ring, coding, roller coaster building, and painting with the new arts instructor, Miss Lisa McWilson. Thank you to the HDS Booster Club for hosting the chili cook-off during that evening. And the Arts Day yesterday, sorry, was fantastic. We're coming back to that because that will segue into the high school. So 5th and 6th graders will attend outdoor science school in Crestline from March 18th to the 21st. This is super important. I loved going to outdoor science school. So big congratulations to everyone's going. I hope they have an amazing time. 3rd quarter Medal of Honor awards are on Monday, March 25th. For 5th and 6th graders, it's at 8:15 p.m. And for 7th and 8th graders, it's at 9 a.m. I said p.m. a.m. Sorry, the sugar is getting to me. So make sure you all attend that. And PSAT testing for 8th graders is on March 26th. And tomorrow they have coffee with the counselor. So that's a opportunity for parents and guardians to meet with the school counselors and discuss preparations for testing and how to reduce testing anxiety with the preparation of these like big tests that are often stressful. Back to the Arts Day. The Arts Day is, this is the second or third year second year we did it. And presenters from our community came to the middle school and presenting tons of different things, hitting all 3 of the different types of arts. We had visual arts, we had performing arts, and we have musical arts. With the list actually is landscape painting, fabric art, photography, sketching with pastels, printmaking, watercolor, unique instruments, a musical escape room, guitar, ballroom dancing, belly dancing, comedy improv, culinary arts, and floral designs. So huge thank you to all of the presenters who sacrificed their day to give this unique education to all of the middle schoolers. They got to pick which ones they wanted to go to and pick 3 different sessions and got to learn about all of their interests. Each presenter was paired with both a middle school ASB student and a high schoolers who shared that same interest to help them teach the middle schoolers. So a huge thank you to all the high schoolers that gave up their academic educational day to go and teach these middle schoolers. So the list is Hannah Whitmire, Malia Bruce, Alex Coons, Ilani McLaws, Victoria Hague, Marina Costin, Aiden Silva, Logan Martin, Melanie Esperanza, Alexandria Van Blarkum, Chris Holton, Charlotte Sanchez, Abby Hernandez, Marie Poppy, Jackie Buchanan, Olivia Alanis, Roxana Cruz, Grace Escovedo, Alexandra Rodriguez, Aaron Brooks Morrissey, Brielle Flores, Stephen Gonzalez, Dylan Draker, Brett Dawson, Jocelyn Ocha, Jonathan Roca, Tenley Hewitt, James Red, Leah Wilson, John Fox, Savannah Olson Schultz, and myself. We all assisted and it was fantastic because the arts are cool and middle schoolers understand it's cool, but it's not really cool until the high schoolers say it's cool. So it's really beneficial to have the younger students learning from the high schoolers, and all of the high schoolers really enjoyed doing that. There was an amazing lunch provided and breakfast, and it's just a fantastic opportunity that I hope you guys continue to do next year. As if I don't need more names to read, and I'm happy to read them, we have the February Students of the Month from Vasquez. So we have Lucas Garrett, Melanie Esperanza, Javier Gonzalez, Charlie Sevigny, Augustine Cabrera, Roxana Cruz, Geraldine Nuez, Emily Flores, Aaron Brooks Morrissey, Jose Martinez, Marie Poppy, Leighton Dixon, Diego Orzo, Vivian Schneider, Gabriel DeBellis, Kenyon Wren, Fernando Vasquez, and Mackenzie Jansen. Each one of these students had their individual teachers that awarded them for the Student of the Month. It's fantastic. And then our classified staff and certified staff of the month was Mr. Joseph Baez and Mr. Sparks. We love Mr. Sparks. This past, we had the winter dance, which was a huge success. Thank you to the junior class for putting that on. Everyone loves the dances. It was a fantastic story night theme. I talked about it a lot beforehand, and so many students had fun. I mentioned last month that the journalism class was attempting to do 3 editions in 1 month, which is basically an edition a week. It was a lot of work, and we were able to successfully pull it off. We had our 2 regular editions and then our special Valentine's Day edition. It was a huge success. People really enjoy reading the papers, and I encourage you all. They're published on the Vasquez website with our little own Vasquez posts, so you can read them wherever, whenever. It's a great way to get up to date on what's happening at the high school. Then we had a Spirit Week this week in celebration of St. Patrick's Day, and we have our spring sports rally tomorrow to celebrate all of the spring sports athletes, soccer, swim. Great day to highlight the athletics at the high school. NHS and SNHS were happy to go on an LA field trip to the zoo, but that has been postponed until we can find a new date that works with the LA Zoo better. And we can't wait for that to get back on rolling. And we have our first PBIS movie date of ever, all time. Can't speak today. Apologies. That is tomorrow, so students will come out of their 5th and 6th period if they had earned over 100 PBIS points, which is a huge accomplishment, and have a certain GPA which qualifies them. We will all be watching Spider-Man Homecoming and having a great time celebrating our good behavior and PBIS points. And finally, we want to give a warm welcome to Mr. Lewick, our interim principal. Everyone's really excited to have him on campus, and we can't wait to see what he does with the rest of the school year. So thank you. That's all I have.
Perfect. Totally perfect. Superintendent report, please.
Well, Ms. Cameron covered everything that I need to cover, so thank you.
Perfect.
But I'll add a few more items tonight. So tonight I'll be covering goal 2, effective instruction and leadership from our newly adopted plan. I want to start off with our PD day. That was just this Monday, the 11th of March. We had our district-wide PD for both certificated and classified staff. Topics for the day were very thoughtfully planned, so thank you to the committee, and I'll mention their names in a moment. Content was presented by our own very staff, and we have our content experts. Topics included the 5 phases of focused note-taking. That was by Mr. John Santa, Vasquez teacher. Socratic seminar by our very own Michelle Van Ornum. Literacy skills-based small group instruction from our TOSA, Ms. Candace Palacios. General first aid from our district nurse, Carrie Wright. Thank you to the PD committee for their planning efforts. It doesn't take a week, it takes months on end, and taking the interests of both classified and certificate and needs of the district. So the committee, thank you, Ms. Paula Chamberlain, Dr. Paula Chamberlain, Nicole Chun, Alexa Lepp, Nicole Salcedo, Candace Palacios, Chip Krolik, Michelle Van Ornum, and Hope Hawk. Thank you to Yolanda McCulley for arranging the food and refreshments. Thank you to Shiloh Villaseñor and Hillary Mulligan for ensuring that we have everything before, during, and after. Thank you to Mr. Ernesto Mora and his team for providing the setup for the day. And thank you to our dynamic IT team of Cesar Ortiz and Alex Herdecio. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you. Arts Day, to piggyback on Ms. Cameron's report. It was yesterday. It was exciting. From watercolor, photography, printmaking, martial arts, floral art, and many others. Arts education teaches students innumerable lessons, as we know. So thank you to the staff who worked tirelessly behind the scenes for months on end to put this together, and to the community members, volunteers for your dedication and support to the arts. Our arts education is thriving, so thank you. And last but not least, for my report, recently we pushed out a strategic plan survey. We gave a debrief of some of the main components and overview. We did ask our community members, staff, teachers, anyone within our communities of Acton and Agua Dulce to take a look at some of the 3 taglines, brand promise that we put out there based on the team's decision to put these forward, but we really wanted to go ahead and select 1 out of the 3 based on the content of the new plan. The current tagline from our previously adopted plan from 2018 reads, empowering today's learners to thrive in tomorrow's world. The following tagline brand promise came out on top per our survey results. And the new tagline for our newly adopted plan is empowering minds, building futures, our small district, infinite possibilities. So we will continue to push the narrative and content of our new plan to our staff, parents, and community in the weeks to come. I'm looking forward to also providing quarterly updates through the board meeting platform to go ahead and provide our measurables and our metrics and whether or not we are meeting our target goals as we move forward with our strategic plan. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's time for submissions.
No submissions this evening.
Thank you. Moving on, we will get into the consent agenda. The consent agenda is the minutes of board meeting of February 22, 2024, the warrant register and purchase orders. Does anyone want to pull anything off of the consent agenda? I want to pull the warrant register off of the consent agenda for a vote on its own. So I'll make a motion that we pull the pull the warrant register off of the consent agenda and vote on its own. Do I have a second?
Second.
Call the question.
Cameron, I.
Mays, aye.
Jesus, I.
Brianna Texoni, I.
Masco.
Okay, Foldsgraf, aye. Is there any discussion on the two other items, which is the minutes and the, what am I missing here? Purchase orders. Any discussion? Call the question for the approval of those items.
Cameron, I.
Mays, aye.
Jesus, I.
Brianna Texoni, I.
Masco.
Foldsgraf, aye. Do I have a motion to discuss the warrant register?
Motion.
I can't say.
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on the warrant register? Call the question.
Cameron, I.
Mays, aye.
Jesus, I.
Brianna Texoni, I.
Masco.
Foldsgraf abstain. There's something on the warrant register that affects my child personally. So the count is 4-0, 1 abstention. Moving on, item 10, could I have a motion to discuss the personnel action report?
Motion.
I'll second.
Superintendent,
We don't have any changes to the PAR personnel action report as posted.
discussion? Nothing, called the question?
Cameron, I.
Mays, aye.
Jesus, I.
Brianna Texoni, I.
Masco.
Foldsgraf, aye. Next item is item B, interim principal contract. Do I have a motion?
A motion.
Second.
Superintendent,
Thank you. We're thrilled to have Mr. Larry Lewick here with us this evening. Thank you, sir, for being here as our interim principal at Vasquez High School through the end of this academic calendar. Being a seasoned principal that he is, he hit the ground running, greeting our certificated and classified staff and meeting our students. And word on the street is everybody's thrilled with Mr. Lewick. So we're thrilled that he has come out of retirement to help support our Vasquez community through the end of this academic calendar. So thank you, sir.
thank you. Discussion?
I'll just make a quick comment. He's a really welcomed presence on campus. Usually it's just Mr. Sparks freezing every morning out there to greet every student individually as they walk through the gates. But Mr. Lewick has joined him and the students really appreciate that. So thank you for having your presence there.
Yeah, again, thank you. We met at a baseball softball game and I very much appreciate you stepping up and helping our kids. Thank you.
But thank you, Mr. Look, for taking this opportunity to work with us throughout the school year. I know it's hard, probably hard coming back from retirement. I can't wait till I retire, and I know the school business is pretty rough. So I think thanks again for actually taking that time to come back from retirement. I appreciate it.
I also want to thank you for being there and giving of your retired time to our kids. And I hope you're falling in love with Vasquez and our small. Good. We all love Vasquez, and that it's definitely one of our pride and joys. So thank you very much for giving your time to our students there and our staff.
And I can see why it is.
Yeah, thank you very much. Mr. Luke was at all the sporting events, on Tuesday or Wednesday.
I cut
Tuesday.
3 out of the 4.
Yeah. So, not just, being a good friend to the school, but actually visiting and going to all the sporting events as well. So thank you again. It's good to have you around.
Thank you.
Thank you, past board president and member Kelly Jensen speaks highly of you. That's all I need. Thank you, sir.
Good.
She wants the $20 now. Thank you. Moving on, number 11, education of people, what? Oh, yeah, I guess we should.
Cameron, I.
Mays, aye.
Yes, Susan.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Paul's Graf, aye. Welcome aboard, sir. 11, education of pupil services. Presentation of AAB USD achievement dashboard. This is not a discussion. Yeah, it is. Done the motion.
I'll move.
Thank you. Before I call up Dr. Chamberlain, our fearless leader for Ed Services, she'll be presenting the 22-23 state assessment data for our district. Not only that, but academic initiatives and supports that are in place. K-12 supports for academic achievement are focused on attendance, school climate, school engagement, and connectedness. I also like to thank our board for their understanding of the importance of, we bring a lot of contracts up to the board, often than not, in terms of the importance of contractual supports that we have in place, anywhere from social workers to the special education, auxiliary supports. They all lend themselves to the achievement for our district as a whole. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Dr. Chamberlain to present our data and initiatives.
Thank you. And thanks for the Dr. Sargent. It's on. Thank you, board and Dr. Sakian, for allowing us the time to present this. And I'm also really happy that Larry's there and the school's in good hands, and it makes me really happy. So I am going to present our CAFS data from last year and then kind of our direction overall where we're going. So for our 2023 assessments from our California assessments for ELA, we had a participation rate of 96.6% in both ELA and math, 94.8% in science, and 100% on our LCAP summative. For we're doing a comparison between the state and our district overall. So this is our English language arts. But at the state, the met or exceeded the standard is at 46%, and we come in at 34.1%. And next we have our math. So next that we broke it down so you can see it on the little speedometer that they brought that back this year. It's a little bit easier to read. And so it just shows, if you look at the circle, you can see the orange is the biggest part of where we are. That's where 43% of students had not met the standard. We do have, when you look at the rest of it, the 3 on top, even the 22.6 is nearly met. So we're moving in the right direction. Our scores have improved in this area, but we do remain in the orange in this area. This is our overall. So what this chart is showing you, the light blue, the bar graph, that's our district overall. And then it's broken down by our student groups. So blue is our students with disabilities. We went up this year. The students improved in ELA. And our English learners, so it looks kind of flat, but the reason is because we redesignated a lot of our kids, so that group became a smaller group. And then we did decline for our socioeconomically disadvantaged students, which I'll use SED for that, and also for our Hispanic students. We've also been identified for differentiated support with, and we work with LACO on that for our our Hispanic students and our students with disability, our socioeconomically disadvantaged students. Last year, we were identified for our students with disabilities, and our socioeconomic students. We redesignated because our students with disabilities improved. So that was a plus for us. Math, the state comes in at 34%. We come in at 19%. So this is an area of need for us. This again shows the dashboard. We are in the orange. So, I mean, that's still, even though we're a lower percentage, we're still in the orange. And so this again, the light blue bar graph is district overall, and this is our student groups. So you'll see again, our students with disabilities had some improvement. Again, that's why we redesignated. Again, the same with our English learners. The reason it looks like 0, it's not 0, it's just that we redesignated a lot of students. So the students that remained as English learners, we didn't have any of students in that group who met the standard. And then our SED students, we had a drop in that area, and for our Hispanic group as well. And this shows our English learner progress. So for the state, they have 48.7% students making progress. For our district, we have 44.4%, but we did have an increase of 6.1%. So we actually redesignated students and have students moving up. So that actually is good growth for us. And we are in the yellow in that area. And this is our English learner progress by site. And so you can see the dip. You'll see the dips really started with COVID and have kind of stayed there. We're kind of still recovering from that. There's a lot of academic gaps and attendance gaps as well as it relates to what's happened since COVID. But you can see that we're moving up. We're moving in the right direction. Did you see it? Okay. Yeah, I just heard I does it. I'm like, we didn't leave it off, right? No, yeah, like the schools are doing great. So for our chronic absenteeism, we've talked about this before. The state is in the yellow. Theirs declined, which a decline is better for chronic absenteeism. You don't want it to increase, you want it to decline, so it's kind of backwards. We maintained, so we're in the red for that area, but we have kind of stayed the same, but it is an area that we're really working on. We have seen some improvement in that area. And so you'll see by schools, so an increase is you want the decrease. So you'll see High Desert was up at 21, 22. They decreased quite a bit from 22, 23. And I think I've talked to Miss Van Ornum about that. And, you know, we don't know exactly why, but there's been a lot more communication with parents just about you're chronically absent when you hit those 18 days. And after 10, you know, that's bad. But a lot of parents just lose track. So just that communication with homes about, hey, did you know your kids missed 10 days? That has been probably from what just the data she collected felt like that probably had the biggest impact on them. And so Vasquez actually increased, but we kind of came to the same area. And we're working with Meadowlark too. We really do want to see our elementary schools go down because the habits kids form in elementary school are really the habits they carry through all the way through their 12th grade year. And our schools are doing a lot of really good work there. And then this is by our student groups. You'll see that they're all pretty much in the same area, with our white group being a little bit lower. And so so next is our suspension rate. So for the state, the state overall is in the orange. And we are overall in the green. And the reason is because we declined. So we still have work on our suspension rate. It's still not where we want it to be, but we did have a decline, so that we had an improvement, which means we suspended less students. And you can see that on this graph. Let's see. So again, the blue is just the district overall. So you can see a decline from 2023. High Desert, oh, this is our student groups. And I know High Desert had the biggest decline. We are, let's see, we are suspending, you can see by our student groups, we're suspending the highest amount of kids, our English learners being suspended, with Hispanic and the low socioeconomic disadvantaged students at the same rate. And then our Hispanic students are just below that. And then this is by school. So again, the light blue is our district. You can see the High Deserts went way down, Vasquez's went up a little bit. And Meadowlarks is blue, like the elementary school has very little. What I did find really surprising, and I kind of want to dig into a little bit, is that LA County is below us, and I'm kind of curious about that. I mean, it could, yeah, I'm just kind of curious about that. So something I will dig in and maybe at my next presentation, share a little bit on that. So the question is, where do we go from here? So we really work under the MTSS, which is our multi-tiered systems of support. And we are really working on, and we're going to be providing some professional development around universal supports. Those are supports that are for all of our students. And it's an area of growth for us as it relates to really implementation consistently across sites. Because if we're really hitting our tier 1 well, we would have less students being sent to the office. And so when we see a lot of kids coming, it speaks to like, what are they being sent for and what can we be doing in the classroom to increase engagement so that we're having less distractions. And then tier 2, and I might have some of these on the next one. Tier 2 is kind of your middle group, a little bit extra support. And then tier 3 is your students that need the highest amount of support. So overall, we did make some gains. Our CAFS data shows that that our areas of growth are in our English language arts, our math, our suspension rate, and our chronic absenteeism. Our student groups identified for differentiated assistance are Hispanic and our socioeconomically disadvantaged students. And so some of the things that we're working on is AVID, which is our advancement via determination. It's actually via individual determination. So that was me mixing stuff up. And then also we're going to be looking at smarter tools for CAS for ELA and math and focusing on the essential standards, what kids really need to know and be able to do, standards-based instruction, and more support with evidence-based instructional strategies. And that ties into AVID as well. We're working on our behavior and social emotional supports. We're doing that through PBIS rewards, which is our positive behavior intervention system, restorative practices, which is helping us inform suspensions as well as social emotional support, and our SEL curriculum, which at the high school is Sweep 360, which is going really well, and also Second Step, which is also going really well. And this is just a list. I'm not going to go over it, but just to kind of give you an idea, some of the things that we do at tier 1, some of the things we do at tier 2, some of the things we do at tier 3. What we're doing right now in our differentiated assistant team meeting is really working on tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 kind of menu, if you will, kind of a list, and then working with principals and sites and teachers specifically, like which tier 1 do we want to be our focus, that we want to really hone and do better at, and provide some professional development for our teachers around that so we can be supporting them. And then the other focus on attendance. I know that we reviewed this previously, but I just wanted to review again. Is the morning huddle has been helpful. PBS rewards is really helpful. Tardy sweeps, restorative circles, the site-based SARBs, and the phone calls home, the attendance agreements and conferences, empathy interviews, and again, family interviews and the attendance agreement. So those are things that we're finding really helpful. And do you have any questions?
I have no questions. Just thank you for your presentation. It was very informative.
Thank you.
I have no question.
Just got a quick question. The suspension rates, when we have a decline or we have something that looks negative towards the district, is there like a tangible impact towards the district? Do we lose funds or is there some kind of consequences if we have a high suspension rate?
No, we don't lose funds, but suspensions, the data doesn't show, the research doesn't show that suspensions really change behavior. And the research actually really does show that it alienates kids more from the school community, and when they're not in school, they get in more trouble and end up in law enforcement more. So what our goal is, the main reason for us wanting to reduce that rate is so that we have kids wanting to be in school, making the mature decisions that they should be, making. So they're really connecting more with our community. So we really try to do supports before suspending students and expelling students. Again, a lot of that's based on safety. If I feel like I can keep you safe at school, and I feel like I can influence your behavior having you at school, I'm going to keep you at school. So, but financially, no, it's not good for kids.
That was kind of my question you were actually getting into, because being in policing, I know if we fail to prosecute, crime goes up. And that's one of our biggest concerns, right? We fail to hold people accountable, and now we have a big mess out there. So I was wondering the correlation in the education world, if we fail to use progressive discipline or hold students accountable, does that create an environment where we have more disciplinary issues? And you know this better than I would. I'm just trying
Yeah,
to gain.
so the
some experience.
correlation is suspensions correlate with jail. There's a lot of research that correlates suspensions with prison. So the PBIS rewards, which is the positive behavior interventions, there's a lot of research that shows that when we intervene and we provide the supports kids need, that they do better. For the most part, I would say, even in my experience, they do better. I wish I could say it works for every single student. It doesn't. So, and those are the kids we end up suspending, and I mean, I'm sure all of us have experienced this, and in law enforcement, you are as well. We're seeing a lot more behavior issues, and we're having a lot, we're doing our best to really mitigate those and support kids, because we know they're coming to us with trauma. But we also, the goal has to be to keep the community safe. And so that's kind of where we have to draw the line.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
Appreciate it.
Can you do me a favor and go back to your very first bar graph, multi-year comparisons?
The very, very first one?
Those. Okay, this. So I was curious when I was looking at this, where, I mean, we can obviously see where COVID hit, right? Like, we all know that. But I was curious how the state would look on this. The other ones, the state was included, and that was really cool to see how we compared with state data. I'm not saying add it right now, obviously, but it would be really cool to see how, if we
Yeah.
compared with the state, if they went as low or if they went lower in 21, 22, over, from the 18, 19 to.
The
on
trend
back.
is the same for sure. Everyone dropped during that time.
Yeah,
I would say, because the state's higher than us overall, just from this slide, that if we were, am I going the right way now? What, wrong, hold on. I would say then the state would probably be higher than us, but we can add this and I can just push it out to the whole board.
you don't do extra work for me. It was just a
okay,
curiosity thing. I wasn't
Nicole
sure if I
kind of-
missed it, or that's why I wanted to go back to see if
Well,
since it was on the other ones, I liked
Yeah.
seeing that. So no, don't.
we'll add that too. There were a couple other student groups that I wanted to add moving forward. Nicole Jen is the expert on this, so she gets 100% credit for this. Also, I just want to say, the bottom of the slide, if you notice the slides, they're blue, green, purple, and gold. That's for our school district. I thought that was really cool that she did that. So I want to give her credit for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Nicole Chen. It is a great presentation. So thank you. Please don't change
Thank
anything.
you.
I don't want you to feel like I'm picking on you. I
No,
love,
I don't.
I love what you've done. So thank
But
you.
I like, that would be cool to see that there too.
Yeah.
So
And then I don't remember which one, on one of them, we're much higher. I think it was the attendance one. were much higher in like 18, 19. And I just wonder what we were doing, like we were here and then we went way high in those 2 years and then way low after COVID. And I wonder if we could look and see if we know, and I know it's a lot of new staff, but if we know what we did right to make it jump that high in those 2 years and then come back down, if there's something that we did there that worked and then maybe it fell off because of COVID, maybe we could go back and I know it's new staff. There's some people that have been here forever and ever. You might remember. So that would be cool to see if there was something that we were doing to make our numbers high in 18, 19, that would be cool. And then I also want to congratulate High Desert on your attendance, your chronic absentee. That was a big drop. So good job. I know that when my kiddo was going to High Desert, after I had left and he was absent, I was getting a call every single day. The day that he was absent, I would get a call at around 9:30 or 10 o'clock, just wondering how he's doing, where can you get him to school? And I think that daily reminder, like not at 6 o'clock when it's too late to do something, but at 10 o'clock when I can still be like, right, I'll get him to school, or he has an appointment. We were going to go out for ice cream after, but I'll take him anyway. That made a big difference for me personally. And I know that High Desert's doing some great things as far as attendance. So it's working. And I do know the other schools are doing great things too. But congratulations to High Desert for that huge drop. That's very cool.
Yeah, we've talked about that. Like, what'd you do? Because we want to copy it. So, yeah, I think it's great too.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't appear that High Desert is falling in line with what the trends are for LA County, even exceeding them. So it'd be nice we could do best practices from that. I appreciate all the data. Data is fantastic, and it's especially valuable when you see multi-year data. The call outs for me are when we're not following along with trend lines from the state or from the county. Like, I think those deserve some special attention to say, why are we not following in that trend line along with our other schools that we're with? And I think that for me personally, this would be a lot more meaningful if we had a goal of what we were trying to achieve for next year or the year after. What are we trying to target? How we're meeting or exceeding those goals. You
That'll
mentioned
be our next meeting.
that's it.
That will be our next meeting.
Okay, good. Yeah, we need targets, right?
Yeah, because I want the schools to set targets individually, because this is district, so I don't feel like it's my place to set learning goals.
Sure.
But I am setting the kind of the pathway for us to implement really good classroom instruction, increasing great engagement, support our teachers. But I want our sites to work with our staff, because it's the teachers, right? That can set the learning goals as it relates specifically to their data. So our next presentations will be individually school-based, like this is where Vasquez is, and this is what we're gonna do, and we're gonna set this goal for growth.
Yeah, I mean, just a percentage improvement target
Right,
would be.
we're definitely, like SMART goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna do that. The other thing too, as far as trends, like though, you said something, I'm trying to remember. We have followed the state trends. I will say, so we're a lot, like our attendance overall though is much lower than the state. So it's one area where we're lower than the state. And I did, because I was curious about that too. It tends to be, we're in line with all other rural districts. So if you look at other rural districts around, it just tends to be, we're in line with rural districts overall. So again, not that that makes it okay. I think it
No,
just,
but it's a valuable data point.
yeah,
It's
but
relevant
I think
data.
it speaks to us, like just really reaching out to our community, like Michelle is doing, like we're trying to do, to make those connections. So that parents know that, hey, we really care. We really want your kids here. We care about your family.
Oh, that's fantastic. The last slide, you had a lot of items that you thought you listed out that were helpful. I think you had all the stand-up, the morning stand-up stuff. You don't have to go to it, but go back one. Or there you go. So those things you had mentioned were, specifically helpful. It'd be great to see that tied. Let's tie it to what it specifically helps.
Oh, what those things
Mhm.
specifically are?
How those things are impacted the slides you showed before.
Do you want me to share?
That's it. No, you don't have to do it right now if you don't want, but it'd be good
I
to
just
see
don't
that,
want to
right?
be too
So-
long, but I can speak to all those things.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Okay.
You know, I would, you don't have to do it right now. But
Okay.
yeah, if you have data, please share. Love data.
A lot of it is anecdotal. Some of it on PBS rewards will be guided by suspensions and like tardy sweeps, like we already have way less like lunch detentions, like, so there's some hard data on that. So yeah, I could plan that for you.
Paula, thank you for your competence. These positions here, I have served for agencies and odd agencies where it would take a nod from this person here to answer the question. I remember those days. So I like it that there's competence in these levels, that he's not filtering what you're saying, it's just coming out. I've got a long time at this, to the point where I remember what Title I looked like, No Child Left Behind. You had all these, nobody could ever meet the goals. So people would come in, program improvement. What I find odd here is there's a lot of numbers that aren't being caught. When I went to the award ceremony at Ms. Van Ornum's campus, I was out there counting how many people came up and were on what honor roll. And at the end, it was, the data I wanted was how many of the kids in the school enrollment are on the honor roll of some type. So in other words, people that are getting, I would imagine, C+ up. And I was seeing 70 percentile of the classes. So when you look at this, something doesn't add up. And that add up is the focus is on Title I kids. And the first thing I will tell you is Title I has never been funded appropriately. Next, there's this idea that if you don't have the right percentages of people that weren't born purple or yellow or whatever, that you don't get the same money, while your school district over here is drowning in Title I funding. We are not. I really, really dislike the idea that this is sorted out by the groups. This is reminiscent of the charter stuff that used to come at me. So it's like, okay, all the smart kids are going over here. It would literally say this in the lawsuits, which leaves a higher, and they're, according to the California ACLU, they are prohibiting through enrollment screenings and stuff to keep the SPED kids out. So there's a brain drain going off from the charters and therefore our schools. And it really puts staff in a position. I mean, I've sat, I better back up on that one, in meetings that were imaginary, where someone was asking for tolerance about a behavior. There are certain behaviors in this district that if you commit those behaviors, you will be suspended, you will be expelled. It's state law. So we don't look at our principles just because we want to run those numbers down. Those numbers are behavior based on choices the kids make. And I'll stop there before I get in trouble with every parent. But at the end of the day, our state administrators are not in charge of if you bring a weapon to school or things like that, you will be suspended. And if 3 people do it in a school with 1,000 kids, that's a lot different than 3 people doing it in a school district that has 10,000 kids. This is math even I understand. So it's pitiful the way that are certain groups are targeted. I didn't see, when I looked at Ms. Van Ornum's stage and everybody, I saw purple people. I saw what other color can I use here that's appropriate. So the bottom line is this data is not reflective of what's really going on. And I feel for staff who are under veiled pressure to not, I mean, do you really want to report this? So the real estate agents can tell you, oh, this is a terrible place. Don't send your kid to school here, because we never have a chance to tell the real story about what's going on. I think that the most critical thing here is that we have focused your position to where it's about education and not about HR and about other garbage that was going on in mismatching of positions. I'm glad that you're focused. I'm glad that we have educators on the campus campus that are saying, hey, let's get together, guys, in the morning and let's have a work environment that's positive and let's start running our numbers up. Your numbers are way up and it's not shown here. It is the problem. What else do I have? They don't want staff to be hesitant on reporting stuff that just doesn't make sense because we have an enrollment of this. I really don't care what the other districts around us are doing. They don't compare to us. And I think that if we were ever to be compared to the other rural districts, you would see that reflected in the Title I funding, that our district and those other districts, we always lose out there. I can't imagine what our program would be like had this man right here not went out and got $5.5 million of funding that we don't get from anywhere else, and it's for these kinds of programs. So again, my compliments on your competence. Guys, you're doing a tear-up job. When I see kids on the stage and I can count 70% of your enrollment up there, that's the number I want to see. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Do we need to loop again? Good. Alrighty then. Thank you, Paula. I think we need to vote on this.
It's not an action item, sir.
Good.
Thank you.
So now we will go to field placement affiliation agreement between Grand Canyon University and AADUSD. Do I have a motion? Where are we? Okay.
Draft school calendar.
Oh, accountability reports. Good. I can give the exact same speech again. Do I have a motion for discussion of draft accountability report card or SART for Vasquez, High Desert and Meadowlark? Can I have a motion, please?
A motion.
I'll second.
So the school accountability report cards for 3 of our sites includes 22-23 data such as school demographics, student demographics, I apologize, suspension expulsion numbers, absenteeism data that you saw here in the presentation, and of course, the CAS state assessment data that was presented for 22-23. So that's all been updated as required by the state and presented in the attachments for 11B. Thank you.
Do I need to vote on here?
Yes, President Fallsgraf, it is an action item to
This is
approve.
us signifying to the state that we're aware of what's going on into our whole school, in each of our schools.
Yes.
Imagine that. Comments? Good. Call to question.
Cameron, I.
Mazel.
De Sousa.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Fallsgraf, aye. C, field placement affiliation agreement between Grand Canyon University and AADUSD. Can I have a motion?
A motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. This agreement would provide our school district with student teachers as well as administrative interns provided by Grand Canyon University. We, as a district, will be responsible for the supervision and the placement of the interns if approved.
Discussion? Any discussion from our union people? Hearing nothing, call to question.
Cameron, I.
Mazel.
De Sousa.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Fallsgraf, aye. Business Services, Resolution 2023-2417 to order a biennial board member election. Do I have a motion?
A motion.
This is a request for approval for the regular biennial election for trustees to hold office with the elections coming up in November 2024.
Before we enter into discussion, could we summarize what those seats look like?
Yes, there will be 3 seats. There will be 3 seats open. 2 of the 3 seats are for 4 years, and the 3rd seat will be for a 2-year term.
Okay. Discussion, be careful. Nothing. Call the question.
Cameron, I.
Mazel.
Yes, Suzanne.
Brianna Texoni, I.
Falls Graph, I. B, agreement expanded learning opportunities program between AADUSD and Sansar Incorporated school year 2024-2025. That's next school year. Do I have a motion?
A motion.
Sorry.
Thank you. Through our ELOP, our Expanded Learning Opportunities Program funds, we are seeking approval from our trustees to continue offering the Sunny Days program, doing business under Sansar Inc. for the 24-25 school year. You'll see two attachments. One is for the 24-25 school year, and the other attachment is for the 30 days in the summer of 24. So hence the two attachments, and we are looking forward to providing the support and services to our community through Sunny Days.
Discussion, questions? Is this, is there a potential for credit recovery here?
No.
Called question?
I actually have a question. I'm just noticing now, it says 25-26 on the title, and then when you, but it's actually the 24-25, correct? On the attachment title.
Thank you, Ms. Taxoni. Mr. Vensko, he has it in front of him, so I will defer to him. Seems to be an error.
Yeah, the title of the file is incorrectly named.
And that doesn't
but the
affect
contract-
anything. The
no,
contract does say the
contracts-
24-25.
You are correct, yes.
Thank you.
So we are voting on an agreement expanded learning opportunities program between AADUSD and Sansar Incorporated for the school year of 2024-2025, and it's superintendent staff recommendation that we approve this.
That is correct.
Call the question.
Cameron, I.
Mazer.
Yes, Suzanne.
Brianna Texoni, I.
That's not.
Falls Graph, I. Item C, second interim report and presentation. Could I have a motion?
A motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Before I turn it over to Mr. Vensko, the second interim budget report provides an update on the overall financial condition of the school district as of January 31st of this year. Mr. Vensko.
Good evening, board members and Superintendent Sahaki. Give me 1 second, right? Okay. So tonight we are going to be presenting the 23-24 second interim report. The presentation I'm about to provide is going to be just kind of a synopsis of the full SACS report. That is the actual official document that goes to LACO and the CDE for review and approval. So there we go. Okay, so agenda. We're gonna go ahead and this will be very similar to my first interim presentation, but basically, we're gonna go through our budget cycle, what factors that I used to build this budget. We'll talk about the big changes from the first interim to second interim. And then we'll do a side-by-side comparison of the first interim and second interim. And then as part of our report, there is a multi-year projection of the current and 2 out years. And then we'll go through some next steps and some considerations, and then we'll end with questions from the board. So the budget cycle, there are 5 main reports that happen through the school year. We are currently on report number 3, which is the second interim. The second interim is a report that goes through the actuals of January 31st of 2024. During this time, it's our first official look of how the governor's January proposal looks in our budgets. We look at the actuals through January 31st in terms of expenditures today to that point in time and purchase orders. We review vacancies, we review any staffing additions or the like, and we adjust our budget for those changes. Planning factors, I won't really go through these individually. There's 2 that really have changed from the first interim to second interim. And the one is the actual ADA is 939.47. That was our P1 number, which is through month, you know what, I'll be honest, I think it's either month 4 or 5. I can't remember exactly the month, but it goes through, I think, the end of December. And so that is an actual number that is reported to the state. So that's up a tick from first interim. And then the other two numbers that I wanted to show are the COLA. As I mentioned back last at first interim, the COLA that we were using at first interim was 3.94 in the out year of 24-25 and 3.29 for 25-26. Those numbers have been updated to 0.76 and 2.73 based on the governor's proposal and the School Services of California dashboard. On the flip side, we also use planning factors on expenditures. Really truthfully, there has been really no change from first to second interim here, but I'll leave it up for just a second to go through. This talks about what our CPI, actually, I take that back. CPI did change slightly, I believe, by like 0.2% on each of the years. It actually moved up a little bit from where we were at first interim. So that's incorporated into our out year expenditures. Okay, so let's look at the major changes from the first interim. On the LCFF side, you can see that we got an additional $26,000. Those were those extra 3 ADA. Federal revenues have decreased by approximately 162,000. As part of the federal side of things, revenues have to equal expenditures. They call them grants, so to speak. And so that's why it seems a little funny when I talk about expenditures for the revenues, but they just have to match. And that's why we're projecting $162,000 less of expenditures in our federal side. So therefore our revenues reflect that decrease of 162. On the state revenue side, we have gotten an official allocation from the state for the Prop 28 Arts and Music in School allocation. If you remember, that's the Prop 28. And so we're recognizing that in our revenues of about 159,000. The big one here on revenues this year is the increase in oversight for our charter school fee. We did not increase the percentage. I want to make that clear. It is still the required legal of 1%. This is due to the ADA and charters. It kind of runs a year behind when we do our payments out to them and our property taxes. So that's why this is the first time we're actually seeing it in our revenue in our database. So what we've done is just taken what has happened and increased it for the remainder of the year, and it's approximately about 500,000 because their ADA has increased. And then just on the contribution side, this is to our programs such as special ed and routine restricted maintenance. We've actually decreased that contribution by about 91,000 due to again, staffing, as you'll see on the expenditure side, and some additional expenditure reductions based on actuals. On the expenditure side, we are actually seeing about $560,000 across salaries and benefits. They're each listed there. The majority of this is due to vacancies that we currently had. And you just, as you go throughout the year, from the beginning of the year to first interim, there's a certain amount you can obviously you're no longer going to spend that money because the years pass. This is just increasing that for those periods of time between the first interim and second interim. Books and supplies have increased about $104,000 based on our actual expenditures and POs to date. And then our services on the other side have decreased by about 174. Majority is due to projected legal and utility costs, mostly on the natural gas side. So what does that look like in terms of the budget, first and second interim? Good news is that we are showing between the additional revenues that we're receiving and the lowering of our expenditures, we're actually looking to have a net change now of about 213,000. So we're actually looking at a surplus at this point in time for this current year, which is a change from first interim when we were looking at about a $767,000 deficit. So again, as those revenues come in for those, you can see it does make a difference. That's on the unrestricted side. And then on the restricted side, there's really very, very minor change, about $84,000 overall. Again, I break this out for unrestricted, restricted because Unrestricted doesn't have any restrictions, as the name implies. And that's how the district and the board and the administration chooses to spend those funds, whereas restricted is strictly limited to those purposes of those funds. So it's important to see those two differences because they have very different uses clearly. Moving on to what the multi-year projection looks like. Again, I will bring this out. Where I'd like to kind of point out from first interim, I don't have the comparison up here, but overall throughout the 3 years, we are able to see we're pretty much at a balanced budget. It kind of is close. I would say when you're within that couple of percent there, when you're right there, it can go either way percentage wise, but we're pretty much at a balanced budget thanks to the additional revenue. One piece I'd like to point out is that in out years, because of the state of California's decline in enrollment overall, I was a little conservative on the oversight fees. I added 500,000 for the current year because that's what we're currently recognizing, but I did it at half, about 250,000 for the 2 out years based on just overall state projected enrollment. And we'll come the following year when we actually see if those numbers stay flat, then we would increase the budget for that year, probably around the same time in the out years. And then I will go to, so how it looks total. So this is where we're looking at overall. I will say that we are only deficit spending on the federal side. That's really the main point of that net change. And that means what we're using the one-time funds that we've been allocated, such as educator effective funds, the arts instructional materials, block grant, alphabet soup number 3. No, I'm sorry, but there's a lot of acronyms, but there's a lot of one-time funding that the district is planning on using in those out years as they are set to expire. So that's really what it looks like on the net change. As you can see, we're positive in current year, but negative in the out 2 years. And hence why I kind of show it in unrestricted to restricted. It makes a little more sense that way. The other piece I want to point out, and is in yellow there, is our components of ending fund balance. So on the non-spendable restricted, that's our restricted ending balance of 3.4. And then on assigned, one of the things that we know and we've got report of is we have several roofs throughout the district, and we just got updated reports that they are failing and are no longer being able to be patched and put under warranty again. So we can't spend just a couple $1,000 doing patchwork. We're going to have to replace them. And one of the biggest things for me, so there's about $1 million in the current year, the 23-24 for that, about a 1.1, if I remember correctly. And then in the out years, the next 2 years, that drops by about half, because what I figure we can't extend and do that whole project all at once, kind of have to phase it out. And then the additional 1.1 million is due to the OPEB actuarial report. As I brought to you back in December, this is something that the district is assigning as showing that this is a potential liability for the district, and therefore we're putting it under the assigned area. And then finally, for our total available reserves, we're looking at approximately 42, 44, and 46.5% for the 23, 24, 25, 26 year. And so again, what this all means is that we are able to meet our financial obligations and hit the state's minimum required reserve of 3%. And we are filing a positive report certification with LACO. And this one, there we go. So next steps, what's going to happen? So I have to now send with obviously the approval of the board. If the board approves our report and positive certification, I will send this file and report to LACO for their review. And then between now and probably about the May timeframe, we'll be looking at the May revision. One thing I want to bring up is the state being the governor and the legislation all have different opinions on how to handle the current budget deficits, as I brought back in a couple of years, where the current year budget deficit for education, Prop 98, is about, I think between the last year, this year, and next year, it's about a $13 billion deficit. The governor had proposed to basically, more or less, not sweep it under the rug, but basically allow a 0% interest loan to this program. So basically not coming and clawing that money back. Back in February, I believe it was February 15th or February 25th, I get my name wrong. The LAO, which represents the state, the Senate and Assembly, they are proposing to their constituents that they reject the governor's plan of kind of sweeping it under the rug. So what all that means is that from now until May, there's going to be some fight and heads, some heads butting between the governor and the legislature. So really what I'm trying to say here is that we just need to be cautious, and we won't really know anything until May revised comes out. We'll obviously be keeping up on our any news breaks that happen, but really the May revision will be when our next big update to the state budget will happen. And then in June, we will be bringing our 24-25 adopted budget, which will incorporate that May revision and incorporate the new 3-year LCAP. And then finally, we hopefully get the state to adopt the budget by June 30th. They're legally obligated to do so. Otherwise, they will not receive their paychecks. So that since that law has passed, they have not failed to do so since then. So that's a good thing for education, at least, and that we know where we're coming at. So that is really the second interim in a nutshell, and I will open that up to questions.
Board.
I don't have questions. Thank you.
So we're gonna end up with an increase to our reserves.
As projected, yes.
I told you you rely on it first one.
Ouch.
Well done, thank you. It's a lot of work. And definitely a lot of effort to get it to the condition it is now. Thank you.
I think you know what's coming because I do this every time if they don't. So the vacancies that you had throughout the year that give us a savings, were any of those, where there's any instruction given from the superintendent's office or anybody over here that said freeze positions, either real or implied?
No.
So these have been constant, and so it wasn't a saving strategy.
Correct.
Good.
As mentioned on the personnel report, they are open and current.
That's why I usually ask that question. So the grant funds, do they roll forward typically as long as you keep using them until a certain end date?
That's correct.
Is there an element of use it or lose it?
As of now, no. But it always depends on, again, all those grant funds can be taken away by the state, but we always keep apprised of that.
So it's in some public agencies, it's like you buy 30,000 rakes while you can, whether you use them or not. So what I'm concerned with is if there's comments about who are all these vendors we're signing up with everybody, is that just an exercise to show we're using the fund? So there's not some penalty coming back from somebody saying that money's just sitting there.
No.
So that's a no good. Is it not true that the local revenue that's being brought forward as additional from charters is a complete wash, and it really does not, and it's pretty much illegal to use it as a revenue source for the district? Would that be characterized correctly?
Yes.
Do you have any anticipated liabilities that you can't really discuss what they are, rat hold in your budget, like maybe $768,000 to pay off what the judge wants you to do down in San Diego County for your charter sins? You don't have anything like that this time, right?
No, sir.
Yeah, it's a new regime out there, isn't it? You have any fund balance transfers that we're gonna hear back from that says you can't do that, you can't put that over here, and then you gotta put it back, like Fund 40 maybe?
No.
No good. We're not up to the old tactic of a few years ago where we would rat hole some funds and to make it look like in the middle of a negotiation session. I would only be asked these questions where we're rat holing money over here and over here to make the district look poorer than it is in the middle of negotiations with our association partners, are we?
No, as you can see from first interim to second interim, I'm recognizing the revenues as they come in and showing the true picture for our agencies and for our.
That's novel, isn't it? As usual, flying colors. Thank you. I will expect you to give the June 30th report. You can bet that. Thank you, sir. And anyone? Okay, so we're gonna call this a question.
Cameron,
Oh, stop. So I can predict, based on what you said, what the letter will come back to me. It will say that we have falling ADA and that our charters are a potential liability. Is there anything else you can predict he's gonna say?
Well, your negotiations aren't settled, you know, the usual suspects.
What does that job pay?
Could not tell you.
Good, call the question.
Kimberly,
Maze, I.
To suicide.
Brianna Texoni, I.
Masco.
Paul's draft, aye. Oh, favorite time, board member comments. Let's start with our newest member. Bill.
I have no comments at this time.
How to make it more brief next time. Thank you.
I just want to thank all the district staff for their hard work and dedication. And I always appreciate all the things that go on at all the different schools. I work at night, so I wake up usually right before I pick up my daughters. And usually they say this last week, she was like, I learned karate today, or I touched a cow. And I'm kind of like, did I hear what I just heard? I kind of blow it off, but hearing the examples of what you guys presented today, now it's clear. And I do appreciate all the things that the students learn in school. As a parent, I can't ask for anything more. So thank you. And Mr. Lucic, welcome aboard, and I appreciate you.
All right, thank you.
I would like to start with saying, congratulations again to Bill Mays. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad that seat's filled. So thank you for giving up your time. Our board comments used to be right after our student representative report, and I was able to comment right away and tell you how amazing you are. And since it's not anymore, it feels like a whole big, a long time has gone by, but I do want to let you know how much I appreciate your report. Always so thorough. And today it was just going and going and going and going. That was a lot. And I know that takes a lot of work to coordinate with so many different people and staff and all the different sites and put it all together into a fantastic report. So I just wanted to let you know that you're doing a bang up job, and thank you again for being here. Mr. Luke, thank you again for being here. You're on my list. I know we already said thank you, but you're there, so I'm gonna do it again. So I appreciate that you came to the board meeting and you stayed the whole time. That's fantastic. Read Across America at Meadowlark. One of my very favorite things to do is to go into the kindergarten and first grade classes and read. This year I read Green Eggs and Ham, one of my favorite books. Last year it was Pete the Cat. Those kids are so darn cute, and the classes are amazing, and having the kids ask questions, and I was able to take my daughters with me. Bill's daughter actually went with me as well. It's so fun to watch, to be able to read to them, but then to stand in the back and watch kids reading to younger kids, and it just warms my heart every single time. And to watch the girls come in and the class, the looks on their faces, and they get so excited, and they make you feel like you're someone special, and it's so awesome. And in reality, they're the special ones. And I just want to thank Meadowlark PTO for putting that on. Thanks to Meadowlark teachers and kids for opening up all of your rooms to let us all go in. I know I saw Dr. Sahaki in there. I saw Mr. Falscraft there. I don't know if anybody else was able to go in, and I just missed you guys, but it was absolutely fantastic. So I really wanted to thank Meadowlark and the staff and the students for allowing us to have that experience. It was very cool. And then also I want to thank High Desert for the STEM night, for the invitation to the STEM night. That was last week, right before our school board meeting. So I was able to stop at STEM night and check out everything over there before we came to the board meeting, and absolutely fantastic things going on there. And to watch kids be excited to do all the different things, build the marble roller coasters and boats out of foil and spaghetti. I don't even know what they were building out of spaghetti and marshmallows, but it was super cool. And the glow in the dark painting. And there's so many different things that I am even forgetting about now, but it was very cool to talk to kids that were just doing cool things. So thank you for the invite and thank you for putting on those extra things for our kids and our families to come and get together in the evenings to just really bond over education, and that's very cool. So thank you for putting those things on to Michelle and to High Desert PTO and High Desert staff, and then High Desert kids. Good job showing up. So thank you.
Yeah, I think it's, every time we have a meeting, every time we just talk, it's always something to celebrate here in our district, so always proud to be part of it, happy, and, thank you, Paula, for having such a clear lens on, where we at and how we're doing. Being able to set targets appropriately is good, and, thank you, Kevin, for keeping us in a good spot financially. That's not an easy thing to do, to balance a budget like that, especially when your revenues are so, unknown at times, so thank you.
All right, as usual, I am proud of the district students and the effort they give to their academic, athletic and extracurricular activities. Thank you, staff, for your focus on supporting the kids in those areas. And superintendent, thank you for your guidance of this district to where it is today. And finally, thank you, board, for your professional treatment of the district's business this evening. Moving along, calendar. We have a regular board meeting of March 28th, 2024. It's my understanding we may have some vacancies on the board that evening.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm kind of borderline. You may have three things. Is there anything on that agenda that requires a super majority of board votes?
There may be, and there will be action items clearly. I cannot tell you, but it's gonna be business as usual, nothing that's gonna be an atypical
So
agenda.
look out for 2-1 hang votes. Is there anything on that agenda that would be a problem? Consider that. We're not going to discuss that now. And then we have a break, and the next meeting is April 25th, 2024. Is there any problem there? No anticipated problem. Okay. Future agenda items. Hearing none. Anything from you guys?
Not at this time.
Okay, so I'll call for adjournment at 9:13 PM. Do I have a motion? Motion.
A second.
Call the question.
Cameron, I.
Mays, aye.
Yes, Susan.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Falls Graf, aye. Thank you, everyone, for participating this evening.